Thank you everyone for joining today, and thank you for getting interested in team rituals. This is what we're gonna uh, this is what I'm gonna share with you today. My name is Leandro Uteri. I'm a design. Hello from Brooklyn as well. I'm from Brooklyn, so I'm in Brooklyn. I'm a design director. I've been working in this industry for around 15 years, and I've been doing everything from UX research to design to leading teams. And the last couple of years, I've been very invested and interested in about the development experience for teams. And this is where I discover the magic of team rituals. And this is when I'm gonna share a little bit of those learnings with you, so you can apply to your teams as an individual or as a team. So yeah. And thank you, Design Lab, for hosting this event. Also, if you can tell me if you are an alumni or how you found this event, I would love to know as well. So a couple of rules before we start. And we're gonna ask you to be on mute, um, unless you're requested. But we can have some time also to do some Q&A at the end as well. You can use the chat as the same as you are using right now. So I love to have that because I can have also a way to see you guys as well, and whatever you're asking or whatever you are putting there, I can also, I like to do this more interactive, right? Just me presenting and that's it. So I can see that Amanda, you're a design lab student, a student of UX Foundation. Okay, awesome. I'm a career advisor in design lab. So I am really grateful for design lab for creating these spaces. So I think it's amazing. And for the ones that maybe don't know design lab, so it's an online educational organization focused on helping designers build their career. um, and again, I think most of you guys know Design Lab, but I think it's a really interesting again space where we can again meet there and learn. So I think that's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna start with this image, um, and because when I found this is actually was a very interesting thing that I discovered. So what I was seeing here is an archaeological site in southeast of Turkey. It's called Göbekli Tepe. Um, what is interesting about this place is not only that it's a very old place that they discovered, but it was also discovered twice. It was discovered in 1994, sorry, in 1960, and then in 1994 again, because they start to discover more stuff. They start to do more digging and discover more stuff. But at the very beginning, they thought that this was a medieval cemetery, just like, okay, this is where people were buried. But then the more they they start to investigate this, they discover this actually was very old, even like 3 times older than the Egyptian civilization. Um, and so that really catch the attention of the scientifics that said, what was happening there, and actually, what type of humans were actually doing this and using this. And what is interesting about this place is actually it was a religious place. It was a place that humans back then performed rituals. And what is really I think it's amazing to me to actually understand this place is because um, even back then, where it was actually a little bit after the ice age, when actually a couple of only a couple of humans survived that age. the humans perform rituals. So it's something that we have as human very, very internalized, and it's very primal as humans, to perform team rituals. And that's something that I want to share with you. So let's talk about rituals. So I want to ask you if you can share your thoughts in the chat. When I say rituals, when I say team rituals, what do you imagine? What do you think when I mention the word rituals? You can put it on the chat, or you can open the mic as well. No worries. Amanda here says daily meetings, ways of communication. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good, 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 good. Anyone else? Icebreakers, something to get the group focused and excited on the intention, the mission. That's really nice. I love this. Recurring events. Okay. A series of regular activities to keep things moving. I like that one, to keep things moving. Way of working. That's also interesting. Um, to help feel connected and valued and celebrated. Yes, that's another one. So yeah, so I think rituals are all of that. And sometimes we don't realize, even as individuals, we also perform rituals every time, every day we wake up, we brush our teeth, or we prepare our coffee, or like those are little rituals. But what does it mean, those things, right? We we have those things so internalized that sometimes we don't ask about all that. um so rituals are activities with a strong symbolic meaning running through a period of time. So everything that you guys said there, it was true. It's like that, right? So again, it's activities. But the interesting thing about rituals that is different from other routinary activities is that they add this strong symbolic meaning, right? This is a very aspect of this, something that is special. That's something that is magic about that. So, um, and also it's like running through a period of time. Um, and what I mean about being intentional, being magical, is also because it's intentional. It's again symbolic. There's a symbology there, and follow a pattern, and then they evolve. Um, and then it could be synchronous or asynchronous. Also, that depends on how we perform that. Um, Another super interesting thing that I found when I was researching rituals is this concept of causally opaque. And what does it mean to be causally opaque? Is there's no causal connection between the action that we are performing and the desired outcome, because sometimes it's just something that even though we are doing that activity, it doesn't mean that it means that. An example, again, for example, if you are brushing our teeth, um, you know brushing our teeth is just an activity. But for example, if we were like brushing our teeth, but in a way that we grab our brush and we just, you know, um, do it in the air, um, that is not connected with the action, right? We are not doing anything. We are not brushing our teeth. We're just like doing this with the brush. Um, but that could be a ritual. That could mean something different to me, or to someone else. And applying that intention, that is what is actually a ritual. So it's like they are causally opaque. Sometimes we don't see what is actually the real meaning inside, because we are just doing some activity, but it's something that happened as an outcome. Um, and they have this transformative power, right? They turn these actions into more memorable ones. Um, So there's a couple of also characteristic about rituals. So rituals work by synchronizing the two forms of processing that we have in our body. That basically is like the brain and the heart and the soul. It's like connect those two things. Whenever we are doing that, we are more present. We connect us because we are more intentional about what we are doing. They also provide this order or meaning, right? So when we say that they have a time, so they organize also our space and our time. Um, they also provide this space for experience, to experience something. Um, they also help us deal with transitions. This is, you know, there's different, we're going to see later, there's different type of rituals to help us transition from one thing to another, from one state to another. And I think it's really important to have those moments of meaningful actions or activities that can let us understand that now, you know, something that's in the past and now we are moving forward. And there's a lot of scientific research around that rituals improve performance and cohesion in teams, and this is what I'm gonna share with you guys soon. Um, and there's also studies around that rituals may help to reduce anxiety and generate these feelings of security. Okay, but how does this relate to team collaboration and performance, right? So because we were just talking about rituals and then how these connect with, okay, how to make a team, a work team, collaborate and perform better. So I took this framework from a book that is called Culture Code by Daniel Coyle, and what he mentioned is that in every what he did is like basically he studied a lot of very highly efficient teams, even if it's work teams or sport teams or even the Navy and the military. And he discovered, or he found these three things that all these teams, the high effective teams, have. They have they develop a sense of safety. They also have a very strong purpose that they share, and also they share vulnerability. They're open to share that vulnerability. So with these three aspects, these were actually the characteristics that high effective teams have to perform better. So, but I wanna highlight in one of those aspects that is safety, right? So, and you probably heard about this concept lately, in especially in work teams, this psychological safety. And what does it mean have psychological safety on a team? And this is a description of Amy Edmondson that also she actually wrote a lot about this, that psychological safety is a shared belief held by members of the team that that team is safe for interpersonal risk taking, right? So it's like, again, a shared belief by everyone that that team is safe to take this interpersonal risk. And what are those interpersonal risks? So basically are these aspects, right? So asking for help, seeking feedback, sharing information, talking about errors, and then experimenting. So again, if we're coming back, what does it mean to have psychological safety on a team is, again, the team's member need to feel that it's a safe space for, again, ask for help if they need help or if they don't know anything, or if they need to know something, or if they are seeking for feedback, or they need to share some information based on what they discover, or again, talking about errors or failures, and then experimenting. So at the core of that, I think if a team is feels safe or start to actually do this, they will start to feel more safe around each other, and that actually is one of the aspects for highly effective teams. So what happened when we do that as a team? So by doing so, we learn, right? Again, we learn, And what happens when we learn? We get better at what we do, right? So we connect better with others, we create better outcomes, and we continually improve. So again, there's a correlation, right? So we learn deeply when, again, there's a correlation when we feel safe to ask for help, seek feedback, share information, talk about errors, and experiment. So I did this. This is more like a connection between, right? So again, coming back to what we're saying, if the team feel safe or there's a safety on the team, they will develop learning behaviors, right? Asking for help, sharing information, experimenting. So what that's allowed, that's actually we learn. So we start to develop learning behaviors. There's studies around that. And learning behaviors are those, again, activities through which the team actually obtain new data and adapt and improve. And so if we have that, the team is more effective. And if we have team that is more effective, we have high performing teams. The end. No, I'm just kidding. um, so then how do we create a safe space actually, right? So we talk about like that is important. That's how we learn. That's how we improve. So how do we create a safe space, right? You may ask, or how we encourage people to take these in their personal risks. Any ideas? Yeah, the magic of team rituals. Um, so this is what we're gonna start to develop together, right? So um, I've been again not only studying but also I've been experimenting. I've been experiencing also with my teams that rituals facilitates these spaces, right? So these spaces for asking for help, for seeking feedback, share information, talking about failures or errors, and experimenting. So rituals can and actually enhance that. Um, and this is a nice phrase around like rituals create a consistent and routinary environment that foster that psychological safety and learning behaviors. Um, so let's talk a little bit more about what are team rituals. So what does it mean? So we learn again that our activities were really strong symbolic meaning, and they run through time. They are very intentional, right? They are casually opaque. Sometimes we do some activity that doesn't have to be the final intention, but doing that activity we generate other stuff, like for example, connection with others. But there are different type of rituals, right? So there are team rituals for creativity and innovation. Um, Again, there are some activities that if we get together, it will generate that space for being more creative, for being more innovative. There are also rituals for flow and performance, right? So sometimes when we need to get into the flow or we need to actually perform in a certain way, there are certain activities that can help us to actually do that. Majority of team rituals that we may see currently in our work environment is around community. It's like how I think someone mentioned about team bonding or those activities where connect each other. So team rituals are usually more the ones that we see the more are more around community, but they are not the only one. The other ones that I really love that personally are the ones that are related to transitions or changes. Um, in real life, I mean, in life or life outside work, we have a lot of this uh, not only as a community, but again as a civilization, right? So we have, we have we have birthdays, for example, right? So there are like transitions, there are changes. We turn different years and we celebrate that. We also have funerals. Again, there's a transition between life and death, and we all get together in a funeral to actually more, right? So that's a ritual, and they have a purpose. They have a purpose to connect, to connect the people, to actually share an experience. And in that case, again, it could be different ways. Um, and then we have also team rituals that are resilience, to create more resilience in teams. And I think what I'm showing here is like the different type of categories is because I think it will be interesting to be very introspective about our work and how we work with teams and how we start to identify these rituals if we have them, or if we don't have them, maybe we can create them very intentionally, right? So um, I'm going to show you a couple of examples, but you can maybe start to think about that in your teams. But also we can discuss that at the end of the talk. Um, just want to know if everything is okay. Just give me one thumbs up, or if anyone has any questions, you can use the chat, or if you can hear me well so far and everything's cool. Cool. Yeah, I see, Johnny. Thank you. Okay, great. So I don't feel too alone. All right. Um, so let's continue. Sorry. First of all, has anyone seen Dune 2? I don't want to create spoilers. There's nothing I'm gonna show that is gonna create a spoiler. But I just want to know if someone didn't. Uh, I haven't, but it's fine. Sure, okay. Because I'm gonna talk about a specific scene. Again, it's not too much of a spoiler, but a specific scene that I think is really relevant about rituals. I haven't seen. Okay, so I'm gonna skip it. So because I don't want to, maybe I don't want to spoil. It's a really good movie. Go and watch it. It's amazing, especially if it's in IMAX. We have the chance. So I'm gonna show you another example, super quick. Um, an Argentinian. I'm a proud Argentinian. So one ritual again is the World Cup, right? Is the World Cup of soccer or football, depends on which part of the planet you are. And again, it's an event that happens every 4 years. Again, we have time, we have a period of time. It's recurrent, um, and it's very, again, it's have a very symbolic meaning, right? At the end, it's just another sport, like people playing soccer or football, but it's really important for the people that are really fans about that, and it's very symbolic, right? So again, I'm Argentinian, and we won the World Cup. Ted Lasso, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, Ted Lasso, yeah, Ted Lasso, Ted Lasso. There's actually a lot of studies. I can send you links about how Ted Lasso um, embrace the powers of those rituals to actually create cohesion in teams. Um, and again, at the very beginning, everyone thought about like, this is stupid what we are doing. And that's the opaque, right? So suddenly we are doing some activity that doesn't have a meaning per se, like right now. But again, they are opaque because at the end, there's something else that happened that we don't see right away. But again, one example, again, I want to show you this or talk about Doom because rituals could be again really really small, again at an individual level or like a very group level, but also it could be at a world level, right? It could happen again like a world championship. There's a lot of people involved in that ritual, and again it's a very strong symbolic meaning. It has some time, it has that moment, that magic, right, that connects. But okay, enough about the World Cup. Excuse me. All right. So how to, right? How to create these rituals. And I create here 3 steps. Sometimes could be even could have more steps, but I want to present it in a way that it's easy for everyone to start to play with creating rituals. and at the end it's not difficult. So I want to present it with these 3 steps. The first step is just, again, just pause and take some time to first identify if there are some current rituals. Even though we have these routinary or ceremonies that, again, that daily meetings or all the stuff, but they are not rituals, right? That's different than routines. And Amy, I will answer your question at the end because I think it's related to this one. Um, but really maybe identify what are those activities maybe within meetings that are feels a little bit special. And if we don't find that, and maybe we don't have that, maybe set up some time to actually collaborate with your team and start to ideate, what we can do. And again, we have the categories, where we have a different type of rituals that we can use. Are we initiating a project? Are we finalizing a project? Are we just is the death of the of the project? So we need to do a ritual to more that is not there anymore. um, or again, there's some resilience that we need to get together to actually maybe share our frustrations, and we can create a ritual for that. But the first step is just to really understand and then set up the time to collaborate about that. Step number 2 is agree on that, set up the cadence and the structure, how it's going to run, and then run with it. And then step number 3, um, uh, give space also to evolve, right? They need to evolve, but also it could be iterative. We can iterate, we can change it, every person on the team can actually, add their own thing, or we start to, again, like a product, right? We start to like tweak it, we add new features, but we start to explore new ways. But in general, these 3 steps are the ones that we need to follow to create a ritual. If we go a little bit deeper, here our alien says that they are optional. Again, we don't have to, mm, if we are a manager, for example, we don't have to push it for that to happen. They need to be optional. Otherwise, it's not going to work. People won't feel that. So it doesn't have to be like mandatory. So it needs to be optional, and people need to get on track on that. You will see also the majority are spontaneous. Sometimes they happen because of different type of connection with people. But the other one is like find that symbolic, right? So we're gonna see some examples now. All right. So what rituals look like? So here I have on top of the screen, I have the category of the ritual, then I have the title, and I have the description. So, but I'm gonna start describing a couple of rituals that I use with my teams that I keep also using. Some of them happen spontaneously, and we leverage that and we start to use it. But this is very special to me because it happened during again, very spontaneous during the pandemic, where we have to start working remotely. So we need to find a way to be more connected with the team. So someone suggests, why don't we just every meeting that we have, or every daily, we have, sorry, this was a weekly, once a week, 5-10 minutes before the meeting, whatever that meeting was, we get together and we share, a favorite object of the week. And again, it doesn't have to be something super special. Maybe it's like someone showing like, my pencil, and then explain why. And because maybe I remember that someone says like my pencil because I'm an illustrator and I like to draw, and I'm drawing a project right now. So suddenly everyone started to get excited about, oh, I didn't know that you draw, for example, you illustrate. But again, like sharing those type of like, again, like favorite object of the week, it create that, it position the team in again in the now, but also it give different meanings to that. So if you're talking about a book, why we're talking about a book, so it start to generate different type of connections. And it was really interesting because at the end, again, every week we start doing that. So every week we start to learn more about the team from every individual and why that object was, special for that person at that moment. And again, that is a community ritual, right? It's connected with the community. The next one is one of my favorites as well. We developed this special, we call it like special awards. So basically, it's recognition, right? So every Friday we get together and we create these like shout outs. But not only like, hey, thank you for this, or you've been amazing doing that. But we create these special awards and very personalized by our team. So we have the Speedy Gonzalez, that it was like for someone who was super fast doing their job, or the Chévere in Spanish because it's like super cool, or I think the other one was the patient, or the other one was the firefighter. It's like you've been the firefighter of this week, like but again, like this is the way we start to share, and we put the pictures of everyone. And again, it's something that it doesn't take too much time in a meeting, in a retro, but it was like really meaningful because, again, that create that sense of connection, right? So again, and also that vulnerability of sharing that. So yeah, that's another of community. The feast. This is another one that also create. It was a space that we create also every Friday. It was like a retro meeting, but we did it in a way that we not talk about work. We just talk about like we took that time. It was 1 hour for us to create like different type of activities in that meeting. And usually it's just, we call it the feast because we also give that name because we get all together like we were in a table and having dinner, for example. But that space also start to evolve, right? That's another thing that ritual have start to evolve, and we start to have that space as introducing new or welcoming actually new team members. So if someone want to share something about anything, about any movie that they watch, or any specific about designs or any new activity, um, I also took advantage of talking with the team and really start to incorporate this idea of like vulnerability. What is vulnerability? How we can start to be more vulnerable and connect in a different way, and create that trust, right? So I think it's just a way of doing that. um, creativity again could be, this is an example. Letritas is in Spanish, is it's like little letters. So basically it was an activity that we get together. I think it was every month, and every individual member, if they have some craft outside design, or if any craft that they want to share, um, and they share with the team, and we do it together. Letritas is like it's like lettering when you draw with, again, your hand, the letters. So Juan here, one of the team members, was like an expert on that, so he teach us how to draw. Again, this is another activity that could be very common, but again, it's just more about creativity. Um, performance. I found this like also really interesting especially when we work in the same space on the office. But to make things more tangible, and that was the symbolic act. So every task that we finish, we can put it on, making tangible, um, and put it on a jar, for example. So we don't just throw it away. And the idea to make that visible and tangible is like, okay, there's progress. There's something that we are keep moving. So it's not so digital. Even if it's digital, I think maybe there are some other ways to do that, but make it more visual, how we move forward, how we, crack those tasks and keep moving. I think that was also very, very special. This is one of my favorites as well. I have a lot of favorites. I call it the Homer. I adapted from another one that is called the Robot Walk, but basically is a exit strategy for an unproductive conversation, especially if it's again in the office or face to face. Um, and again, this is a result because we you need to everyone needs to be aware for sure that, but I think it's a way of also to de-escalate some conversations or some meetings that sometimes it get uh, too unproductive where we're going nowhere. So the ritual is like, you know, uh, like exiting away. Okay, I'm gonna remove from this conversation. We're gonna talk tomorrow, and I think that's also very important. That's really powerful to say, hey, I think we are not coming. We are not agreeing anything right now. Maybe we can retake it tomorrow. Just gonna exit. But I think make it even though could be like a very intense moment. I think you can also make it a little bit fun, so you can remove that and say, okay, I'm gonna um this is one that I also love because um right now I think there's even more tools, especially with AI. But back then, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, I started using software where through Slack, um, we create these daily reports. It was like a daily messages that people of my team received, and they just answer a couple of questions, and then at the end of the week, we just revisit the results. And there are questions about like, how do you feel today? And what would you do today? That's again more like about work or anything that is blocking your progress. But how do you feel today? That was a question that we start to measure as a team, and we start to measure the team happiness. And it was really interesting because people, again, with that trust and safe, people start to really be vulnerable. It's like, I don't feel very well today, or I don't feel productive, or I don't feel that I want to do anything. But anyways, it was something like that. So we start to measure, and at the end, that software give you the graphics. And um, beyond collecting the data that is just data, what is really important to me was to share that with the team, to share back and say, hey, this is how we felt this week, and let's actually open that, and what happened on the Thursday, what we feel this way. Maybe it was a very special day that we feel down, or this day we feel like super happy. Sorry. So I think also those things are like how we are doing are really, really important. And this is other examples on how we share that information as well. Uh, some people also share uh, gift or memes in that question. That was like really, really interesting. Um, the other one that is resilience is the wall of anxieties, and I love this one. Um, this one, I remember first saw this in a museum here in New York. It was I don't remember the name of the museum right now, but you can grab a paper and write your uh, yeah, your anxiety, or if you're feeling or your emotions at that moment. But I think creating this space where people can actually live their anxiety or live their fears. Um, and again, the symbolic act is just like I write it down and I leave it there. So it's like I share it, like and I express it, I take it away from me. Um, it doesn't mean that maybe that anxiety will go off, uh, but I think like again the act of sharing and make it tangible. Even again, if it's digital, we can do it in Mural or any other whiteboard software. I think it's important to feel that like I'm living there and I'm sharing and I'm being vulnerable, so we can also um, talk about that. the mistakes logging. Was another super interesting one. It was also, I don't have any screenshot, but I found it in Slack. This is a very powerful tool for learning. So I think we need to learn more to talk more freely about mistakes and failures, and without being afraid of making those mistakes, because we need to take that as a, again, as a learning, and especially for someone else. If I made a mistake, I will share it so someone else will uh, don't make that mistake, and it's just more like of a learning, collaborative learning. So we also had this. This was a question that was triggered every week. It was optional. You can share, what mistake you were, maybe you were doing something and you fail, or you fail in something, so you will share with the team. But the most important thing is like, what was that mistake? What did you learn, right? Or how can you can start to leverage about how we can be avoid for next time. What would you tell the rest of the people to avoid it, or how we can change that, or maybe it was something that it was you know uh, not effective in what I was doing, so maybe we can do it differently. And I think sharing that is just really powerful. um Transitions. I love these ones. I give names to everything, even if it's an object. Even my guitar has a name, but um, this again, the naming baptism. Every project we start, we can give a name, right? So we start to connect in that way. And again, it's a very symbolic. That maybe doesn't mean too much at that moment, but it's very symbolic, and we start to create a sense of belonging, right? We belong to this project, and we're gonna name it. This is an example of a team that I used to had, and we call it Baby Yoda design team. So this is how we put it. But it's, again, it's a transition, right? It's a ritual of something that is coming, right? That is something new. Let's put a name. Let's actually do something about it. Um, and this is another one, right? So funeral of old customs, and I think also it's also really important to have time for things that are ending or ended or they finish. So I think we need to, again, recognize that, or honor it, or celebrate that, as if we need to. Um, but maybe, again, maybe it's a project that didn't work out, or it's a project that suddenly, it's not, yeah, they just dropping down, or even, especially now, right, what is happening in our industry, there's a lot of layoff, and I think there's a moment to say goodbye to our team members. So I think really dedicating time to those um, transitions rituals are really important, because it help us, again, if we come back to what we were saying before, it help us to position it in the now. It help us to really understand what is happening, and give us a space to actually process that. And especially right now, that our society is going so fast, I think the more we need those moments to actually, sit down with what happening, and mark those transitions. So again, not only birthdays, but also it could be funerals of things or projects, or it maybe doesn't have to be something that is dying or dead, but something that is not here anymore. All right, to go, and then we can have some time for questions. So rituals help to create that space for connection, and then again, coming back to what we are saying, through that power of vulnerability, providing that sense of security, and projecting that common purpose, right? So we have those three things: the purpose, so we are a team and we are doing this together; the security that we felt around sharing and learning together; and that vulnerability that actually allows to do that. So I think those are the three really important elements that we need to consider also when we create the rituals, or actually the ones that I recommend the most. Um, and this is possible. It works. I it's proven by science. I did it with my teams. I keep doing it with my teams. But again, if you start to apply these rituals again more meaningful and with more intention, and start to again do it collaborative and start to be vocal about this. Okay, let's actually create this. So this is our ritual. Let's put a name on this. The results are there, right? Like again, like people are less stressed, less burnout, more engaged, and also again more happy at the end. That's what we need the most. And this is something also I want to share that I found. This is from the World Economic Forum that they do these studies every year, and they did a projection about the top 10 skills for 2025. And look at this. Number two is active learning and learning strategies, right? So we talk about again like how those moments of asking for help, be vulnerable, sharing information, experimenting, sharing failures are moments of learning, and that's really important to practice. And especially now with AI and everything, we need to keep leveraging that learning skill. So it's number two. So it's one of the most important ones. So with rituals, we can actually facilitate that. A little bit low here, but I think it's really important as well. It's like again, resilience, stress, tolerance, and flexibility. So we talk also about that and how rituals can help us on that. So really important for self management. Yeah, I'm gonna share soon. Amanda is asking a question. We can have time. So to summarize, look out for current rituals if in your team and ask yourself if they are contributing to a better work environment. Sometimes we have rituals, or sometimes we have those activities that they are not healthy, so we need to remove them sometimes as well. So let's ask ourselves if it's actually are better, and go for it and design them. And this is a really nice phrase. Caroline Leaf says, is a neuroscience. She said, your purpose is not the thing that you do, but it's the thing that happens in others when you do what you do. And again, this opaque aspect of the rituals is like happen. It's not you, it's just what happens with people when you perform them. And to close it, here's a QR code. I couldn't include everything that I've been investigating and researching and everything about rituals and experience. So I create a team ritual playbook, and I put it to download for free. If you like to do so, just scan the QR code, and yeah, you can download it. All right, so Q&A. I will leave the QR code if you guys also want to have that. Yeah, and thank you actually. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate that. Um, all right, so let's go to 4 questions. So the first one, Amy says, how do you propose this type of thinking to a startup and new work environment? Um, I think it's even easier that include this in other companies. If it's a startup, it's actually a new work environment, just bring it to the table. If you guys are a small team, just talk about us. Like, hey, I saw this talk about rituals and they're like really interesting. Or again, download the playbook and there's a couple of things that you can use on how to apply them, how to think about them. But the most important thing is just again be very vocal and say this is something we can try, we can experiment. If it doesn't work, we just don't do it anymore, but just let's try. I think it um give also you need sometimes you need to give some time to run that, and people will connect or not, but I think it's worth to try it. Just so bring it to the table in any conversation, or even if you want to feel more comfortable, you can talk with your manager or your leader say, hey, I think this is super interesting. Can we try that? Or I hear that's really, really important. Or I have this need. This is another thing, right? I have this need. All right. You mentioned the tool you use for the team to share how they are feeling each day. Yes, it's called Geek Bot. I'm gonna write it here. I believe this is still there. Probably now with AI or something like that. But search for that, and you can also maybe find other type of tools that I guess maybe sometimes they could be free also. That was a subscription, but um, I think again it's really cool to start measuring that, but in a way of not measure because data, just because to share with people and really be again it's more like a journaling for teams and to see how we felt during the week or during the month, and I start to be more inquisitive about that, more like curious. Um, what else? Amanda says, "Great to stick technology, design, and programming on there." Oh yeah, and in the skills. um, Here, yeah, this is really interesting. Analytical thinking, that's really important. So we need to start putting too much attention to that, like critical thinking, especially with AI. Um, that's what will uh, separate us from the machine. Um, yeah, any other questions, or if anyone wants also unmute and say it or put it on the chat, or maybe say if I'm missing something. Let me see. Questions or something to share. Okay. Otherwise, I think yeah, this is the end of the talk. Again, I really really appreciate you being here. I encourage you to try this. Download the playbook. Also, reach out and let me know if you try, or if you try this and maybe uh, it's not working or what is working. I'm really really interested. I'm always investigating about this. I'm really passionate about that. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Design Lab, for this space. And also, again, I participate in Design Lab as a career advisor. You can find me there as well. And yeah, thank you so much. And have a nice week.